I've owned the FlightScope Mevo Plus and the Prgr launch monitors for a little while now, and I think there's some pretty clear reasons to help you decide if these are the launch monitors for you. First things first, it's not a fair fight. The Prgr launch monitor is the very first entry-level launch monitor out there. It's about $330 in Australia right now, and so it's simple. It's going to save you on the budget, and it's going to give you just a small amount of data. The FlightScope Mevo Plus is more when you know that you want a bit more from your launch monitor. So it's still a long way from something like a TrackMan or a Foresight, but it is a decision that you need to make because it's about $3,300 in Australia. So price straight away is going to be a factor for some people. But aside from that, for me, accuracy is a big thing in the decision-making process between these launch monitors. So what I've done for you is I've hit 10 balls with my 9-iron, 7-iron, 5-iron, and driver, straight out just to compare between the two devices. Disclaimer warning here, I had the kids playing in the pool. I wasn't particularly trying to do anything with the shots, just hitting balls just to see what the number is between one device and the other. From there, I'll give you those numbers in a second, but it is also worth mentioning if you are interested in these devices that I've done a more detailed review of each of them individually. They're on my channel pages, so if you want to see them at some point, go and check them out. But other than the numbers, I think you'll find that people fall into some pretty clear camps on this as to which device suits them best, and I'll give you my answer at the end as to who I think should get each one of these devices, or if you should just stay away from them and stick with what you've got or look elsewhere. In terms of setup, because I know that interests some of you, I'm in the back garden. This is how I was doing the testing. I've got the FlightScope Mevo Plus set up 8 feet behind my mat, and then I've got 8 feet to the net. For drivers, it really wants 13 feet, so that's a bit too short of a gap, and it might impact the distances. But for me, 13 feet in my setup in the garden seems a bit too much. From there, I've got my laptop to record the distances that I'm hitting, and I've got my iPhone to show me the shots on the Mevo Plus when I'm hitting them. Prgr on the floor behind me where I'm hitting it, you want to be about 3 feet back or in that sort of zone. And fair play to the Mevo Plus on this one, because I know it doesn't like tech in front of it and around the ball, and I've got a little launch monitor right behind the ball, a phone and a laptop to the side of me, and it doesn't seem to bother it, so that's a decent effort. In terms of the net, I've got the net return from the Net Return Australia. That's also where I got my Mevo Plus from. Great guys, and I'll put the links below for the products if you want them. I don't get any benefits from it, but they're top guys. In terms of the Prgr, I got that from the Golf Performance store. Again, I'll put the link there. Nothing in it for me, but top service from them, so I would trust them if I was looking to buy another one. So first things first, the 9-iron. In terms of club head speed, the Prgr averaged 82 miles per hour, whereas the FlightScope was 81 miles per hour. Ball speed on the Prgr launch monitor, 99 miles per hour compared to 103 on the FlightScope. Smash factor, 1.175 on the Prgr, 1.27 on the FlightScope. And the carry distance, average for a 9-iron on the Prgr, was 133 yards carry versus 135 yards on the FlightScope Mevo Plus. So really similar numbers for me on the two devices with the 9-iron. Jumping up into the 7-iron, and the numbers look like this. On the Prgr, I had a club head speed average of 80 miles per hour versus FlightScope's 83 miles per hour. Ball speed, 112 miles per hour versus 114. Smash factor, 1.4 on the Prgr against 1.38 on the FlightScope. And carry distance of 159 yards versus 166 yards. Again, pretty similar. In terms of what I see on the golf course, I'd probably say I'm a little bit closer to the FlightScope numbers with the 7-iron, arguably in the middle there. With the 5-iron, the Prgr's club head speed was coming in at 85 miles an hour versus FlightScope's 87. Ball speed, 122 miles an hour versus 125. Smash factor, 1.43 with both devices. Carry distance on the Prgr for the 5-iron was 187 yards versus 190 yards on the FlightScope Mevo Plus. Really similar numbers there. Moving into driver, and there's something here that I would say. I've got the net set up 8 feet in front of me in my garden. FlightScope instructions say that you need at least 13 feet of ball flight to get really accurate distances with your driver. For me, 8 feet versus 13 feet might not sound like a lot, but just where I'm set up, it feels quite a bit different. What I have noticed, and there's a different video about this on my channel, is that it does give you shorter distances on the FlightScope without having the ball flight that can can go. I think it needs to see the ball travel a bit further in the air, but I'm just using the setup that I've got, which may be similar to what you're looking at. In terms of the results though, the Prgr gave me a club head speed of 106 miles an hour average versus FlightScope, which was also 106. Ball speed on the Prgr was 152 miles an hour, also 152 miles an hour on FlightScope. Smash factor, 1.43 on both devices, so really similar there on the three numbers. And in terms of the average carry distance, Prgr had me clocking 159 yards carry versus FlightScope Mevo Plus of 143. Like I said, FlightScopes say you need more ball flight than I'm giving it. And when I've tested it elsewhere, it does make a difference. I would look at those numbers from the FlightScope and say it's probably 15 to 20 yards shorter than I would expect when I see it on the course. But what I will say for the FlightScope is that the other information that it gives you, when you can look at ball shape, you can sort of see the distances and the spin and everything, it's really accurate. It feels really good. So if it, when you look at it and you see the shot go off and you see the height or the carry or the curvature, that's very similar to what I see on the golf course. I'm okay with that, and I can add a bit more distance onto the shots if I think that's what it should be. Otherwise, the numbers are so similar on there. Credit to both devices. So make of it what you will on the distances. For me, those numbers are really accurate. The FlightScope's obviously going to give you tons of data. The Prgr is just limited on what it can tell you. In terms of who do I think these are suited to, if you're doing speed training and speed training is your main goal, I would 100% get myself a Prgr launch monitor. These things add so much to your speed training. Just being able to tell you how fast you're swinging it encourages you to go faster on your next one. It gives you a way to measure, to see what your progress is like. If you can possibly get one of these and speed training is the thing that you're interested in, I highly recommend that you get one. Now, if you're on a budget, but you are practicing a little bit outdoors in the net or something like that, and you want to start to get somewhere with your golf game, again, I'm going to go the Prgr. This gives you information which is really useful, which gives you something to measure, helps you understand how you're hitting your shots, makes the practice worthwhile. If you're just starting out and you're not sure whether you want to spend a lot of money, I don't think you need to. I would go the Prgr. Now, if you're practicing at home or you're practicing on the range and you want to start to really see some improvements in your golf game, I'm going to go the FlightScope Mevo Plus. This and the information that it can give you is going to make a big difference to your game. It lets you turn an at-home practice session or a practice session in the net, possibly even on the range, into a really valuable session. You can track the distances, you can better understand your gaps between different clubs, work on shot shape, different types of shot, understand if you're improving with swing changes that you're making from the data that it gives you. Definitely recommend it. I haven't tried a lot of the other entry-level launch monitors, but this is super easy to use. Sets up really fast, lightweight, small, fits in the bag. If you're in that sort of entry-level point, I don't think you're going to be disappointed, and I think you're going to be pleased you spent the money. What I would say is, not everyone needs a launch monitor. I played golf for over 20 years without a launch monitor, and it did me no harm. What I do think though now from having one is that it can help. I think it is really useful, and if you're time poor and you're going to be practicing in net, practicing at home, it suddenly makes those sessions worthwhile, a lot more valuable than they were. So I think if you're at that point of wanting to improve, then a launch monitor could be the thing that you need to get. And if you're going to get to that stage, I think FlightScope Mevo is awesome. And it becomes value for money. It seems like a bit of an outlay at the start, but I think it pays itself back in time. Like I said, if speed training's for you, you're not sure, but you're just wanting to dip your toe in the water, the Prgr. Hope that's helped. As I said before, I've got a review video of each of the devices on my channel, and if you want to check out the Prgr launch monitor review, I'll throw that up on the screen.